All right, we're back. And we actually got our camera to work, so look at that. So with much thanks to Tom here, we figured out, all we had to do was pay $5 a month and we solved our problem.
Right, exactly. Thank you.
It always comes down to money. But okay, so Dale Simpson showed up. So being that this is the Starfleet International Conference, this is the, I hate to use the word brain trust. This is the command team right here of the USS Ares chapter of Starfleet International. I'm the captain. Dale's my first officer. Paul's our second officer. Do we have a third officer? Well, it's Frank. See the short guy down there at the end? He's director of operations. That's Frank Parker of some random fan film. I don't know.
It's random. We just
Crossroads, Operation Gemini. Project
Axanar Jr.
Heads are going to explode. Axanar 1980.
Yeah. Oh! If you haven't figured it out, Frank gets all the shit. He gets 99% of the shit gets thrown Frank's way.
Because I'm short.
He's really not that short. And his better half is around here somewhere. But she's scared of being on camera with us. I don't blame her.
She went to a memorial for somebody that she lost in her chapter during.
Okay.
People that passed away in the chapter, so they're doing.
Okay.
For all
they are. All right. Yeah. So hi to Don Diesel, Daniel Seo, Ronnie D. Hey, how are all you guys doing? So we are here at the Starfleet International Conference. Alec Peters, Dale Simpson, Paul Osborne, Frank Parker, Chris Weave. Was someone sitting there? Scott Voigt.
He's right there.
Oh, he's
coming back.
You see, that's Scott all the way in the back there, and then Tom Pope. Pope, like the Pope. He's the Pope. So we're hanging out here, and we just finished lunch. Had a good lunch. I had a chicken calzone. We had chicken. You had the other one.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. The problem with calzones when you get them to take out is they're never crunchy, right? They get a little soggy. So but the big news is Orville season 4 announced. Scott Grimes announced it. I guess was that at Star Trek Las Vegas? Star Trek, which is good news. So it's doubly important.
I really do think that the Orville is the best of the current crop of Star Trek's TV shows.
Yes,
I think you could easily argue that. Yeah, easily argue that. It's fantastic. So, but we're all excited, and we're working away. JP and I were away on the Orville fan film, so we're excited about that. I would think that we will get our first episode out before you see the first episode of Orville. If Orville is going to start shooting in January, you're not going to see their first episode until the end of 2025. Is my guess. We'd love to get. We'll see if things go with Axanar and fundraising all for the Orville fan film. But
did they say how many episodes they're going to do?
No, they didn't say.
No, I think he just said, it's coming back, whatever. So hey, everyone who's joining us, we are here at the Starfleet International Conference. Starfleet is a fan club, biggest Star Trek fan club. And a chapter of the USS Ares, which you're all welcome to join if you want to. It's a ridiculously low $8 a year to join Starfleet International. So why not? It used to be more. It used to be like $30 a year. Back when they used to send a magazine out, right? The Starfleet Communique. I joined Starfleet back in the 80s. I hate to admit it.
Yeah, I started in 93.
I started in like 86, 87.
79.
79?
Wow.
Holy
Germany.
crap.
In Germany.
Wow.
You're an old one.
Damn, that's impressive. So we got some old timers here. Alex Rosenweig, who some of you may know, I met him. I still have copies of my typewritten letters to him back in the 80s, I forgot what exactly we started talking about. But anyway, he was involved in some. He was involved in some of the blueprints, I think.
Yeah, he was the one that we used to have to go through to get our ships, approved to do it. Yeah,
Ah.
when I started the Intrepid 2 in Region 15, we had added 2 nacelles to Galaxy Quest, and we had to go through that, and came out that there was another one that had already been approved. It was called the Peacekeeper class. So that's what we came up with. So,
all right, let's go off on a tangent. So why do we need 4 nacelles?
I don't know.
Like a Stargazer or the Cheyenne, right? The Cheyenne class has 4 nacelles.
Okay, so I can answer this question. How
Chris
long are you
Reeve.
planning on streaming?
Can you give us the Reader's Digest version?
Well, okay, so I mean, I've got sort of the in-universe theory, consistent with everything that's going on, and I've also got sort of the way that I would have done it if I had done it.
And you need to project because the mic's over here.
Okay, I will project because the mic is over there. And so my thinking on that is, and I actually did a Starfleet tactical show on this where we talked about these various things. And I'm making some assumptions, a lot of this comes from Sternbach and Okuda, about what it means to be an exploration class ship. And so I think exploration class ships have big warp engines, and they have, as a general rule, they have navigational deflectors because they know that they're going long distance away and they need to go very, very fast. And so the Stargazer is like the one ship that you see that in sort of like earlier canon sources, and I mean everything before JJ, that doesn't seem to fit that bill. And so they do talk about how you can sort of flex the warp drive and stuff to clear space in front of you. And so I think that really what was going on, the story I tell myself about this, because I've been a naval analyst for a long time and I see how navies do stuff and things like that. So I can easily tell myself a story that goes something like this. That they, for years, Starfleet had done the math, and the accepted answer was you need to have a big navigational deflector, but a big navigational deflector is in effect a third warp engine. When you sort of look, it's got subspace coils, it's got all this other stuff. It has to work in tandem with everything else to make it work. In effect, it's a third warp engine, and it has some issues as a result of that. It's a big, expensive piece of gear that sort of requires its own space liquidity. So, I mean, it is it looks like it's just this dish that's attached, and no, it's not. And so if you got to deal with this, I think what happened is somebody said, we've gotten a lot better on sort of flexing the warp field to sort of deflect stuff away, et cetera, et cetera. I think we're at the point where we don't need that big deflector anymore. We'll just put 4 warp engines on it. Because we've got 4, we can still get a high speed without running them all out. Anybody who knows engines knows if you want an engine to last a long time, you don't run it at 95%.
Right.
You run it at 75%. And you can run it forever.
So the cows come home. Yeah.
And so the idea is that 4 engines gives you enough extra capacity in the system that you can sort of flex it to knock stuff out of the way, et cetera. And you can cycle through the engines and nobody's ever running more than 75%. And you can just cruise forever. Okay.
Sorry about that.
So why'd they only build 1 class? I think the answer is it turned out it was harder to do that than they thought, harder to maintain those engines than they thought. That maybe the technology changed yet again, and navigational deflectors became the better thing, but it wasn't so much better that they decided that the right answer was basically to decommission the class.
Gotcha.
So they kept the class. It was good enough, but it wasn't worth repeating. So that's my
that's a good, that's a
in-universe answer.
Plus the Constellation class, which the Stargazer belongs, which is fucking ugly. I mean,
And they're old engines. Look at the engines.
Oh, yeah,
they're
right.
like old engines. So,
right, it's like kludgy. It's total.
Yeah, and so
it's like another Okuda ship bash.
Was it
With all due respect to Mike and Denise Okuda.
Yeah, it was
explicitly so it was explicitly going where no one had gone before.
Yeah.
Which means there's no service areas, and if you can fire up any 2 of those engines, in a
You
pair,
can get home.
you can get home.
Yeah.
So having two extras. Is
Yeah,
not bad.
I get it.
And it also wouldn't surprise me because if I remember correctly, aren't those like the exact same engines that we saw on the movie era Enterprise?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so here's another part of this story that I can tell myself. Okay, Starfleet is finally moving beyond those engines, right?
Yeah.
And they had a bunch of ships because they built like approximately 10,000 Mirandas. They built all these Mirandas that are still around, so they keep the Mirandas around as sort of a workhorse within the borders of the Federation. They're clearly not explored, right? They're clearly so they don't have to go.
They're
forever.
frigates.
Yeah. Well, and they're the ones that you have to sort of go around and do stuff locally. They're not the
Yeah.
They go where lots of men have gone, right? And so that's what they do their. So I think what's happened is they had a whole bunch of these surplus engines. This is another piece of it. They had a whole bunch of these surplus engines, and they said,
We don't got any Mirandas to put them on.
it's one of those periodic retrenchments. We don't think we're going to need them to keep the Mirandas running, and we got some budget cuts coming. How can we build? We need to build some explorers. What do we got in terms of spare parts around that we can do it? Or maybe it's just a case of that production line is still hot, but it's about time that we're gonna we can crank a few more out really cheaply. So let's just go ahead and design something with the parts we got and test this hypothesis and see if it works.
And that's where the Gemini class reached the USS Ares is because we've got 4 nacelles.
Oh, all right. There you go.
Now,
There you go.
Now, if I were designing the universe, right? If I were designing the universe, I would explicitly say that that a lot of what ends up that ships maneuver at warp by differential warp fields. By stressing the field differential. In the same way that tanks turn by running one set of stress faster than the other. And that if you've only got 2 engines, you can do this, but you can't do this very easily. You have to sort of rotate around, etc. And then if you want to be really maneuverable, if you give 3 or 4 engines, you can be really maneuverable at warp. And so if I'm building something that needs to be maneuverable, like say maybe a warship, maybe I want to put more engines on it, in addition to all the other stuff I talked about. Of course, that's if I were designing this.
No, that's all good stuff. Yeah, okay.
And so everything I said there, even the stuff before, it's not canon. It's not inconsistent with canon, but it's certainly not canon per se.
But there is no canon for why. It's just
there is no canon for
it.
It just is.
Well, I had heard at one point that the Dreadnought, which is the 3 nacelle, that Roddenberry always said if you're going to have nacelles, they always had to come in pairs.
Yeah, well,
I had heard that someplace. Yeah.
Rod wasn't, and Roddenberry wasn't the one designing the ships.
Yeah, I know.
So it's like, really, Gene, thanks. We're going to let Matt Jeffries handle this and Franz Joseph.
And he also said that they had to be in view of each other, right? They had to actually, you couldn't have anything in between.
I see.
Yeah.
So there was a bunch of informal rules that we talked about for that.
Which look, like all things canon Star Trek, those rules got broken.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I always loved the Dreadnought. That's why that.
I love the Dreadnought.
Yeah,
Matter of fact, when Stuart Foley and the Foley class came along, if you follow Trek Yards, they changed. It's not a true Federation class.
No, there are a couple different.
It's its own class.
There's a couple.
And I'm just not crazy about it.
I've seen a couple different 3D models of different ways that they've set up Dreadnoughts. One had sort of like an extra bridge section on the top and stuff like that. When I was looking at Dreadnoughts, I mean, I'd say that the traditional.
Now, because I love the Federation class Dreadnought, and I even more love the Ascension class Dreadnought, which is the Belknap class. Yeah. And I love the Belknap class. I thought it was a really cool, real design. I'm not sure how that works, but yeah, I loved it.
I don't like it on the Galaxy class. I don't
like
that third nacelle when they put that on there.
Yeah, I think when we did Gary Hutzel's auction, he had all the extra parts that went on the future Enterprise. So it was like a nacelle, and it was the phasers and blah blah, blah all those little Greeley's. So we sold all that, but yeah, I didn't particularly. It didn't do it for me. Anyway, yeah. Also, I just felt like what I did like about that was the big freaking phaser cannon underneath.
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome, because I always thought the Galaxy class was. The thing about the Galaxy class, how many times in the 7 seasons did the Enterprise face an alien race and get their ass kicked? It's like, really? You've got 1,000 worlds in the Federation contributing to the best of class, and some random third world, has a ship that can kick your ass? That just makes no sense.
I was doing a project at one point to model the Enterprise D, the Galaxy class, in a game, and trying to figure out where the firing arcs were of all the phasers. Realizing that you overlapped everything, and of course this phaser strips, so you can sort of redirect fire to them. But if you just overlap, like what could face where, like 50%, more than 50% face down, like 60 or 70% face aft. Like that was the best place to shoot. That's the best place to catch an enemy. You could have more phasers face there than any other direction. So, and it made sense. It's like you're a science ship. You should be going the other way and shooting back. They didn't really do that much, but
Yeah.
it just sort of makes sense for the, at least in my head canon, they make perfect sense for the model. So that's what I'd be doing. I'm here to research. I'm not a warship.
Yeah, I get
I
it.
didn't get that. Could you try again?
Sorry, Siri, we weren't talking to you. It's my Siri's acting up.
Well, I, for one, like ample nacelles. Big fan.
Let's so let me just Brian Simpson. Of course, Brian Simpson's on. How are you, Brian? It's good to see you. Jim's Landscape is on. How are you? So we are at the Starfleet International Conference. Myself, Dale Simpson, Paul Osborne, Frank Parker, Chris Weave, Scott Voigt, Tom Pope. And Donna is around here somewhere, just avoiding us, like to play. Donna's
Like
Frank's.
play.
Yeah.
It's because she had to sit next to me.
Yeah. So Daniel says the Galaxy was nice, but it was like a Federation cruise ship. Yeah.
Yes,
Which,
it was.
exactly, which makes the Saturday Night Live skit that much better. Yeah. What was the other thing that we were going to talk about? Orville came out. So I was going to say last night I watched the ending of the Clone War, Attack of the Clones, and the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, and I was shocked how bad the CGI was. Like I was like, wow. I mean, I had to think again how old those movies are, because they were at least 20 years old, right? 20, 25 years old. And I'm like, I was just really shocked how, it's not that the CGI was bad. I should say that the state of the art has changed
How
so
dated.
much. Yeah, it's dated. I mean, there are fan films that have better CGI than those 3 movies. But that's just the state of the art is so much better. But that was
There we
All right, we're back. We're sorry. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
It hasn't started yet, or at least I haven't picked it up yet. There it is, coming on now.
Okay, there we go.
Paramount lawyers that sabotage you. Switch to auxiliary power.
There you go.
It's not section 31, don't worry.
Yeah, that was CBS told Hilton to pull the plug on us. So no, we were streaming off of my iPhone's hotspot, and my phone died.
Yeah, you are lagging pretty bad.
Are we? I don't think they have. Oh,
It's working fine on mine. It seems to be working.
is it?
You're just lagging, Frank.
You just need to put it. Yeah.
Just your old tech.
No, the bar has not opened yet.
Let me clear my screen.
Oh, there's someone back there? No, she's sitting down.
She's setting up. So we will be drinking soon. We'll be drinking soon. What'd you get?
I picked it up and I said, let me clear my screen.
Yes, you have to be old.
Someone did make an Etch-a-Sketch app that you could do that with. That kind was really nice.
Really?
Yes, they did.
Oh my God, that's hysterical. That is great. So we were talking Star Wars, and I was just like, outside of some cringeworthy writing, the overall story. Lucas set out to tell a story. He knew the story he wanted to tell, and he told it. And there was, as I go back to watch it again, I go, there's a lot of good stuff, and especially, it definitely gets better from beginning to end. And I think Revenge of the Sith is the best, and I think, and dude, it is grim too. It's grim. When I saw this, I walked in on the scene when Order 66 had just been given, and I'm like, oh, that's just so brutal. And then, Anakin walks in on the younglings, and I'm like, oh, this. I know it's a movie, but geez, Louise, that's grim. No, it should be.
No, I have that video on mine.
Yeah. Are we coming in 5x5 over there, guys?
We're fine.
Marta of Orion. Marta, yes. It's actually a conference, not a convention, and it's small. What did we say? There's like 50, 60 people here, which is on the small side of these conferences. It's much more about. It's really more about the administration of Starfleet International, the club, the fan club. But I did get to meet David Nottage, the president or commander in chief, whatever, who's a super nice guy. So we're going to chat with him in a little while. So yeah, it's more a conference now. I remember when I first joined back in the '80s, they talked about the conference, and it was a big deal. It was, and I just feel like it's not a big deal anymore.
Yeah, well, I think it's like anything else when you take a look at fan clubs and stuff like that. We didn't have the internet. So when we got together, it was
a bigger deal.
Yeah, that was the first time you'd seen each other. Whereas
And also,
Zoom lets you have a lot of
conference-
meetings and little stuff. So.
The conference is happening the same week as Star Trek Las Vegas.
Yeah, that might also
And
be.
Gen Con.
And Gen Con is going on too.
And up in Baltimore area or in Pennsylvania now, they have I'm trying to think of the convention that a lot of people go up there for start. Shortly.
Is this weekend?
It's going, because I know one of the commanders of one of the.
Really?
It used to be in Maryland, but they're a hotel.
Yeah, they
Oh, it's in Pennsylvania now?
Yeah, did move to Lancaster?
I think so.
Yeah, it used to be at the Hunt Valley Inn, which went by about 12 different names, but everybody knows it's the Hunt Valley Inn. But they're like redeveloping the land. The hotel is like, new site from orbit. It's the only way to make sure. And so I went to Shore Leave last year there in Hunt Valley. Did you go to that too? Yeah. It was really just a chance for the hang out with us. We went to a hotel across the street from Shore Leave, and then basically hung out at the hotel most of the time.
I think I went to. I'm trying to think when I first went to shore leave. I know I was at one maybe 20 years ago, and I thought I was one.
Like 1989.
I think one. Yeah, I think I went to one before that as well. Back in the 90s, I went to one for sure.
Yeah, I've been to Charter League a couple times when I was with Farragut, so.
I don't think you ever came back.
No, I probably haven't been. Good to see you again. What's your name?
So so that's a lot of events happening on the same weekend, especially two events that are directly conflicting with this conference.
Yeah, it is.
Shorely is one of the biggest Star Trek events on the East Coast, and obviously Star Trek Las Vegas, which people go through all over the world for. So I don't know, not.
No, Shirley was a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, was it?
It was like last week.
We were wrong. Shore leave is not this week.
26 or 28.
Now you understand why we give Frank so much shit.
Oh, no,
He's
I mean, I thought that's why.
So it's not. Shore leave wasn't this week.
Is there another?
No, well, there's Gen Con, but Shore Leave was 26 or 28.
And Gen Con's the big gaming convention.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but it also does science fiction.
Is that in
stuff like that.
Indianapolis?
Okay,
Yeah.
then.
Gen Con?
he threw-
Origins is in.
Somebody threw me right
Origins
there.
is in Columbus.
It's
Yeah.
in Columbus. I went to Origins once.
Yeah.
I went to Origins once, and I was playing a World War I airplane fighting game. It was before,
Oh, those guys came to Origins almost every year, and they closed up a lot of that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
it
great.
was
They've
so
been there
much
for
fun.
20 years in a row.
I believe
Is
it.
this the
Yeah.
aerodrome guys?
Yeah.
No, it was
Wooden-
enemy.
Yes,
set.
yes,
Oh, no, okay.
yes.
Oh,
That one.
that's a
That
different
one.
one.
That had
Yes, the pegs.
The pegs were actually shell casings.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
That was one of those games. Look, sit down and play. I'm like, okay, I sat down, and I had so much fun. My
Yeah.
friends were like off playing some science fiction game. We're going, no, I'm going to fly my South with Camel, and it was so much. That game was great. It was, but they were selling merch, so I got a Red Baron hat, and it was like red with a black brim, and it had an old Iron Cross on it, right? So we go out to lunch in downtown Columbus, and my buddy, it was my buddy Mark, who did a comic book, and he's like, "Wow, you're getting some strange looks." I go, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I think people don't quite understand your hat." I'm like, "My hat?" I go, "It's not like it's a fucking swastika. It's an Iron Cross, for Christ's sake." So yeah,
But Origins is always the same week as Pride Week, too. So
oh, is it?
yes.
Ah.
People were
yeah.
interpreting it as a "Make Germany Great Again."
Yeah.
So speaking of games, did you say you were playing World of Warships?
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot.
A
Too
lot?
much.
Too much.
I'm about to delete it from my computer, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going cold turkey.
I said to myself, I was going to get into it, and I said, I don't want to be a skeleton, in a few years.
Yeah, no, let me tell you,
So,
it's way too addictive. Ask Scott.
well, I'm sure
It's so
is.
addictive.
Now, my question is you're in the subs. So
No, I'm not.
Oh, I thought you were
Not in
submarine.
game, not in World of Warships.
Oh, okay.
No, that's like a totally. I didn't never even learned how to play them.
Yeah, okay. I was wondering if there was a big sub presence in there.
Not a big one,
There's a bit of one.
but there's a bit of one. And yeah, I like playing the destroyer. It's fun to play a destroyer and go against a sub though, because you got depth charges and
Because one of my favorite ones was Silent Hunter.
oh yeah.
Yeah, and I used to play that all the time.
Yeah.
And that's why I was thinking, World of Warships had a little bit more of sub action.
And they have aircraft carriers.
They got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got it. It's. I mean, it's a good game. But yeah,
Well, this is why I
a,
can get into Star Trek Online.
wait, yeah, exactly. Exactly. A matter of fact, I still curse my friend who got me into World of Warships.
Yeah.
I'm like, you motherfucker. How many, I'm sending you a bill for if I send you a bill for minimum wage, the number of hours I played this game, you are going to owe me your kids are going to owe me. I mean, it's just, this is what I hate about gaming.
Yeah, well, that's,
It's like,
get involved.
I need my dopamine hit. I'm going to go play Warships. I guess there are worse things we can do with our time.
Well, this is true. We can make ping pong.
Yeah.
Yeah, look on the bright side, I could be a drug addict.
Yeah, I know, that's right. Yeah, that never quite works that way. So, Axanar fact files. Oh, look at that. Another, and you're out of here. No, we were going for all the Axanar haters that are watching our stream. Thank you for stalking us. You're disturbed. But no, originally we were going to have a presence here, and we were going to bring actors in and do all sorts of fun things, and they decided not to because they're basically afraid of CBS, and CBS is, has told them don't work with Axanar. So yeah, so we were like, okay, well, fuck it, we're going to go anyway because you're in Atlanta. So we came here and we're hanging out in the lobby.
Yeah, it's not
And,
like I could get I paid $80 to come here. It's not like I'm going to get the money back.
Yeah,
I might as well
no.
go down and see people.
Yeah, and have some, let's
Not
have.
only that, we're promoting Starfield.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, we're pretty. What do we have? Almost 50 members in our chapter.
And we're
So
giving away free swag.
It is
Yeah.
an official chapter.
Yeah, we are an official chapter.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the only free swag here is from us. So we're giving away posters and patches and cool things like that. So that's why. Yeah, that's it. So no one's going to ruin our fun. We're going to do what we want to do anyway. So, all right, what else we got to talk about? So we talked about Orville. Has everyone seen Wolverine? Deadpool?
not.
No. What are you waiting for?
Free time
You're retired though.
and busier than ever, and not getting paid for it.
That's retirement. That's why they call it.
As a friend of mine says about retirement, he can't figure out how he ever had time to have a job.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
guess we could do a chapter viewing. Wolverine.
yeah, we could. Absolutely. I'll go see that again. Yeah. Because what I'll do is I'll go online and look at all those Easter egg videos. So then when I go back and see it the second
You know what to look for?
I know.
Yeah.
I know what to look for. We're gonna wait. The bartender's setting up, so we got to take some allowance for her. We went to a theater in Athens, and oh my God, they had a full menu, hot dogs and hamburgers and everything, and it was good. It was really good. Yeah. So the pretzels were good.
Yeah, the smart theaters are actually trying to figure out how to make it an event again, like an experience.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that are surviving, I think, because they make it worth going. Because otherwise, there's hardly any reason to go.
Well, I think
Yeah, the theaters that decided to treat us like airlines treat us are not
Yeah,
not
yeah,
doing
yeah.
well.
Right.
Oh yeah, because this had the full reclining seats and
Yep,
everything, and it was funny because I think our food and drink meaning 2 large Diet Cokes, was like $45. It was more than we paid for the tickets. And it's like that'll be $45. I'm like, well, I just got a popcorn and 2 sodas and a hot dog with fries and a pretzel. Yep. The only saving grace is now most of the theaters have the smart Coke machines, the ones that have like a gazillion flavors. The one they have them at like Wendy's where you can get everything. So that was neat. That was fun. So okay. So Eric Madsen. Yes, Barfleet the cat.
Ran out of power.
On your phone?
Yeah,
Do you want a charger?
you got one.
Yeah.
I will.
So okay, so what we can do is give you.
Well, usually the hotspot.
Yeah.
Well, since you asked, yes, yesterday we had our friends and family viewing of the rough cut of the next 2 episodes of Axanar. And it was pretty it was a lot of fun because we watched it on the big screen of the USS Ares bridge set.
A lot of oohing and eyeing.
Yes. So what was your favorite part that you can, your non-spoiler, what did you like about it? Tell me, we'll start with Scott. Tom, can you back up? Just
Yeah.
Well, actors acting was wonderful on all of their parts.
all 19 actors. There's 19 actors in it.
Was good. What little VFX we could see at the time was great. I'm just really tickled and waiting for it all to come together and see the full thing, knowing what's coming is going to be very exciting.
Tom, you're the new one to the group. Now you can lean forward.
Actually, I think my favorite line, I don't remember exactly, was the Vulcan saying, "It's just math." Like,
Oh, yeah.
Talking about
It was a mathematical equation, and thus had a mathematical solution. Yeah.
That was a great actor. Like, you just perfect delivery.
Well, and Tina was Tina plays Captain Orev, which is one of our new characters in Axanar. And I know Tina from acting class from 12 years ago in LA, and she moved to Atlanta, and we connected again. And she was going to be, so she was originally just background for the Icarus maneuver. And I said, and I just thought about it. I said, maybe we could get her to play the Vulcan captain. And she's Asian, of course, so that's a little different look. And so I said, okay, here's the script. And she's a professional actress, so she's used to doing video auditions.
Mm-hmm.
So she did it for me, and she probably sent me 3 or 4 revisions. Like, she'd send me an audition, I'd talk to her on the phone and give her notes. She'd send me another one. And the first ones were like not good. I mean, not good meaning from a Star Trek perspective, right? And so she was getting there. She was getting better. And I turned her over to Mark, and Mark was like, "Oh, she's no good." I go, "Mark, if you had seen where she was, 4 videos ago, trust me, work with her." And Mark worked with her for a couple times, and yeah, she knocked it out of the park.
She's got
And
the affect perfect. That was just great. That's definitely my favorite scenes.
And she definitely, with her, emotion leaks through with her. She is not totally stoic. She's got attitude. I think she's got attitude is the best.
In the same way that Sabaldi.
Yeah.
Very much. I mean, you could see it bleed through, even in his most stoic. She does the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I get that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Donna joined us down there. Donna's Frank's better half. Yeah. What else did you like about it? What do you think about the Klingons?
I love the Klingon, but just the older one, just sort of like, just that weary, like, I've been through this shit before, and we've got to evolve. Like, that was just he just nailed that. That was great.
Yeah.
And seeing the stuff that Dana had come up with for the possible background for him, and then seeing it in context and sort of imagining that background composited on there.
Again, I've shared with, I know I shared on the Patreon. I'm not sure if I've shared with the public the backgrounds for the composited shots, because of the 19 actors, there's probably, I'm trying to think how many are on green screen. Probably 8 are on green screen, and the rest are practical on the bridge set or engineering or something like that. So they all need backgrounds that they get composited on. So there you go. Well, thank you, Eric. We appreciate Eric. We're certainly trying. Certainly, one of the comments that I heard a couple times yesterday was CBS is going to be so pissed off when they see the next 2 episodes of Axanar. So we certainly hope so. Brian Stimson says the director's cut of Rebel Moon is out. I liked Rebel Moon. What did you guys think?
Yeah.
Everyone watch it? Did you all see it?
It was all right.
I thought it was all right.
And it was mostly just
It's very derivative.
it's very just we're gonna go here, we're gonna meet someone, we're gonna see like one scene to see that they're cool, and then we're gonna this person, we're gonna collect them. I don't
It's
know.
the Seven Samurai.
It is
This
absolutely
is Seven.
So I'm curious
Star
about the
Wars.
director's cut
So-
just because
Yeah.
is it enough more to make it much cut to make it down to whatever?
Down
Why
to-
did they broadcast this for Netflix anyway? It's like-
Right, exactly, right? Right, who
Two
can?
parts.
Why
Why
two parts? Why, I mean, yeah.
Right, you can make it a series, make it a mini series.
At some point, I will watch it.
Rebel Moon is a lot, in my mind, is a lot like Avatar. When you think about Avatar, Avatar is totally derivative
Yeah.
of everything we've ever seen. It is Fern Gully in space. It's like,
I heard the Fern Gully.
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
Fern
oh,
Gully is
float,
even better.
right? Oh, floating mountains. We've never seen that in fantasy before. And that's not a knock. The thing about Avatar is, as James Cameron is James Cameron, he just does it better than
It was
anyone's ever done. Right?
incredibly
The
well
execution was beautiful. And even that, I will not go see him in 3D. But Avatar, which was how long ago was the first Avatar movie? 10, 12 years. It was really good in 3D,
Yeah.
right? So the level of execution of a James Cameron movie is always so high. Now, that being said, I thought Zack Snyder did, as derivative as Rebel Moon is, I thought it was really well executed. It looked good. He had a great cast. It just, I was like, okay. I didn't come out of it feeling like, man, that was an interesting story and that was original. But I felt like, okay, he did a good job.
Derivative is better than a remake.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a,
I mean,
Fair. It's fair.
Everyone here?
you're trying to retell something in a different way.
Yeah.
Versus
Yeah, no, I don't blame him for that. I thought the narrative was weakly executed. And so I'm curious about the director's cut because maybe they're going to put enough back in that it actually makes sense. But it was just too, it really was like, we're going to go to this planet, we're going to meet this person, we're going to see the one scene that's
now,
cool.
they did, at least he did the robot differently.
Yes.
Like, right, it wasn't the companion robot.
Yes.
I was like,
different.
okay, that was interesting.
But so much was dropped there. So that's I'm curious to see that. I could see if there's a half hour more of the robot so that it makes sense, then maybe there's some strength there.
Yeah.
I'm willing to give it a chance.
Yeah. Listen, there's a lot worse stuff on
Yeah, this is true.
On
This
stream.
is very true.
pretty much anything on Amazon Prime. There's so much bad sci-fi on Amazon Prime. It's crazy. Mediocre stuff.
Oh, there it is, okay.
I guess, sorry, Brian says that there's a lot of lag right now.
That's your button.
Has anyone signed on to the Hilton Honors Wi-Fi?
It was down earlier.
Yeah, it's still down.
Is it still down? Because it pulls up, but it's down.
But my room did it.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna have,
Yeah.
it's 4 o'clock. Maybe the bar's open. Ma'am, are you open yet?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Who wants a drink? You want beer?
I'll have a beer.
What do you want? One of the.
England's.
You want a England? What up? No?
No, that's like,
No? Paul?
Drink and drive.
Want a drink?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I got
No.
drive.
You have England?
Okay.
No. Sorry, Dale. Blue Moon, Coors Light, Heineken, Corona,
It's
Sweet
a
Water.
Mexican tourist beer.
I got Guinness. I'll pass. All right.
All right, I guess we're not drinking. So,
It's a power pack. You plug it into your iPhone.
oh, very cool. Oh, that's pretty small. That's cool. I just found one of my fuel rods. If you've used fuel rods before,
Yeah.
you get. Yeah, I guess you get them at like theme parks or convention
Yeah,
centers,
yeah.
and you recharge them. So I don't know. They're coming out with new ones. I just got an email. I don't know how it's on the email list, but there you go. All right, what else do we got to talk about? What have we not covered? We haven't bashed Star Trek much on this stream.
Do we need to? Is that
It's
required?
self-bashing, I think, at this point. I sold my Cerritos. I had got one of those Cerritos master replica, not master replica. What was the company that was making that? Eagle Moss. Yeah, Eagle Moss. You sold it? Yeah, I put it on display and it did, it's kind of cool, but it's hey there. We're just having a live stream right here. You're on camera, just so you know.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. You're welcome to have a seat and talk about science fiction with us.
I'm Jerome Connor. I
Alec,
talk to you every so often.
Oh, yeah. Hey, how you doing?
Fine, thanks.
This is Dale, Paul, Frank, Donna, Scott, Tom.
Hey, how you doing?
And you're sitting in Chris's seat, but we don't care.
He's not here.
So,
When he comes back.
yeah, I had the Cerritos, but I'm not that big a fan of. I mean, as much as I love Lower Decks, I'm not a big enough fan to own the ship. And these days, especially when many of us are in that phase where you're like, okay, I've got too much shit. I got to get rid of shit. So everything that is on display in my office has got to resonate with me. It's like, oh, that's my ex from when I was a kid. Like I've got
Does
my
it bring
little-
you joy?
Does it bring me joy? Looking at the Cerritos doesn't bring me any joy.
Yeah.
So I sold it, made like $50 on it. It was good.
Comey announced they.
I know they're Enterprise A,
Yeah. No. Well, the refit. not
the refit.
Yeah, and they've met their goal, so they're going to be producing it. And
Yeah, I
So
mean, they
they
sold
any
it.
good?
Well, I guess they're
Because I
making
saw
a
it.
big deal of the fact that there's no exposed screws or bolts.
Yeah.
Because everyone's bitching about that on the TOS Enterprise, and I've seen 1/350th refits, just models pro model makers have made, and it's beautiful. So I'm like really like, man, I don't know. I feel like maybe I should get that ship. 1/350th means it's like,
Pretty big.
3 feet long.
Yeah.
is it 3 feet long?
Yeah.
I think it's 35 inches.
Holy crap! Wow, and it's only what, like $700?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look at
Ah, yeah.
hang it from the ceiling.
Well, when you spend,
Not being die cast, you're not hanging. Unless you're doing a table.
Bolts.
yeah, and it's die cast.
85% die cast,
Well,
15%.
you find your studs up on top and you do it that.
Yeah, right. I
Rebuild
guess.
the house. Pretty
None
much.
of these companies sell
Well, you
cutaways.
gotta have your priorities.
I've seen
No.
some kit cutaways, but
No.
not like pre-made.
Jerome, where are you from?
Originally, I am from Massachusetts. I moved
What
down
part?
here.
What part?
Chelmsford.
I'm from
That's
Wilbur.
the TOS. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
I moved down here to Kennesaw.
You got to move up a little.
Oh,
The camera can't see you because
Yeah.
Tom's hogging the
Yep.
camera.
Oh, yeah, there we go. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, now we can see
I
it.
now live in Kennesaw
Oh, okay.
because my wife wanted to move down here to be closer to her family.
Oh, okay.
And
That's
being the
good.
smart husband that I am, I snap that salute and say, yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. I gotcha. Okay, well, that's cool. Now, are you part of which chapter are you in?
At the moment, I haven't been with Fleet for a while, but I am looking to come back. I was part of Region 15 up in New England.
Okay.
I was their RC. Yeah, I was the
You're
RC.
RC up there?
I was for a while. I've been up there.
It's not aligned with the chapter.
Yes.
So we get out a pen and sign them up.
Yes. I was the RC twice up there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
My chapter of the U.S.
That's
was
regional commission.
Yeah, it was the USS Hood, which was NCC 1707.
That's,
It's not there anymore.
no, it wasn't, but that was,
Dave Ryan's ship originally.
was it Dave Ryan, but it was Al Rickett.
No.
That was back in '93.
No.
Fight, fight,
No,
fight.
I know the history because I've been the longest serving captain on that ship. I know the history.
Okay, what
Fighting about
I don't know.
NCC
I don't know,
registration.
but I was also at one point, we were both the regional and fleet flagship.
Chris, you can pull a seat next to Frank.
Again, Alec, that sounds more like somebody from the McCullough.
Yeah, no, it was at Nimitz.
Nimitz, okay, the Nimitz, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you came to this event even without being part of a ship. Are
I,
you a member at large or something?
no, I was a member for a long time. During COVID, my chapter collapsed due to a number of issues, including some deaths in the chapter. Yeah. But then some real world politics got involved, which shouldn't have gotten involved, and people just said,
No,
yeah,
really?
exactly, yeah.
Drama in Star Trek
I
fan
know,
clubs?
I know,
That
imagine
never
that.
happens.
And so basically, instead of having to fight it, I just let the chapter sort of slip under the waves.
And how long you been in Atlanta, in Kennesaw?
About a year, actually a year to the day.
You like it?
It's like any other place, you know.
It's a lot warmer than
Yeah, well,
Massachusetts.
That's true, but then it's colder up in Massachusetts in the wintertime. So
Yes.
I'm an Air Force brat,
Oh, okay.
so I've traveled all over the place. So to me, any place is any place.
Any place is home.
Yeah, exactly.
Wherever
As long as
you
you get to meet cool people, that's all I would know.
Well, we can't do that for you here.
So
So that was our is my first officer,
Okay.
and Paul there is second.
Okay.
That's our director of operations. So yeah, we'd love to have you as part of it.
Sure, I'd love to join.
Because we'll
I'm trying to.
we'll give you some authority. We'll give you some authority. No, we won't give you. Authority.
No.
We're just going to give you responsibility. That's
What I'm looking to do is I'm looking to get back in fleet, get my rank back because I was a vice admiral.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were.
I thought I was gonna be the highest, and we're at.
You're, okay.
I joined.
We
fleet.
need to have the most admirals of any.
We had 3 on our chapter.
Did you
4
really?
on our chapter at one point.
Wow.
I joined fleet back in the days of the second. Oh God, can't think of her name now. But it was before the McGinnis administration.
Yeah,
The second Maddox administration. I joined.
Yeah, I joined during Rob Turner.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know Rob. I was there when they incorporated, and that was the brouhaha on that was hysterical. I loved it. Our chapter later became one of the oppositions to the McGinnis administration.
Oh.
There's so much drama.
Oh
that,
yeah, that's one of the reasons I left fleet at that time. You would believe that's where we had. I was saying about the Maquis.
That's where the Maquis formed was because of the McGinnis
I was a
administration.
member of the
Really?
Maquis.
Yeah, and he ended up going to jail for embezzlement for his
$20,000
from his real world job.
Oh my God.
Yeah, see, we're not kidding when we say there's drama.
There was drama.
Well, there's drama. I mean, I don't want to.
I understand your drama is different than our drama.
Oh yeah, no, our drama. Yeah,
There was a lot of drama down there. Oh yeah.
really, because I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but the last commander in chief of Starfleet has been causing all sorts.
Oh, believe me, we know about drama. There has been at least 3 separate fleet admirals that have been removed for a variety of reasons and have been or stepped down. Drama just seems to go anywhere in any sort of fan groups. You should see the drama in Star Wars groups.
Oh really?
501st is wonderful to watch for drama.
Oh really?
Get that big old bucket of popcorn, sit back and just watch. Okay? Fan groups, I've been doing fan groups in science fiction fandom since 1982.
Oh wow. Okay.
Okay? And I can tell you there's not a single group out there. You get more than 2 people together, it's drama time. Okay? It is the way of the world.
Well, for our chapter, we're more into doing animal rescue and doing things to
So I've
benefit
seen
our community.
I'm on Alex's Facebook page. I know all about it. I'm dying to meet his missus, though.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Well, we'll leave the drama to the haters, and we're a
I
fan club. We're a fan club.
understand that, and I have seen it. I've seen the drama from.
Oh listen, there's drama here. they've already started posting about us being here.
Oh,
A
cool.
couple of the members here have been talking shit about us online.
Excellent.
Like, geez, Louise,
I'm
you
waiting
come
for them.
to a fan, you come to a fan
I'm
of
waiting
it.
for them to start talking about me now.
Oh, okay. We'll make
Intrepid 2?
Absolutely.
let's
Fine shit.
Okay. I can go all the way back to the what was the one on the Cape? The Saratoga?
Yeah, the
Saratoga. I've got stuff back from Saratoga.
Yes, that's down
over there.
Turn around.
So
No, they were
yeah.
already over there.
Over there.
Yeah,
Over there.
What region is this?
this is
Oh,
two.
I
Thank
thought
you.
I thought she was the one. No, she was the one that was singing against the wall before.
That was I was
Yeah, they left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because we're going to what? Have too much fun? Take over. Because that's the next thing. That's the next thing.
That's what he said.
Yeah, right.
Yes, I knew Alan. You and I butted heads like you would believe.
Yeah, well, see, Alan and I.
He's old home week over here.
I know, I can tell, really.
I was gonna say, yeah, I mean, Alan and I was as cheap as him.
Okay.
If we get to Roman, Bob, we're gonna have to like buy an old age home or something. Gee, all these retired
If
admirals.
I had my walker, I'd come over there.
Well, what to help me with my job, you need to give me some permissions because I can't see a damn thing.
Well, you need stronger glasses.
Yeah,
then.
that's right. Yeah.
No, I've been doing different science fiction, like I said, since '82. I was a member of a costuming guild by a Science Fiction Worldcon
okay.
classifications. I'm a master costumer. I was the president of the New England Costuming Guild.
You need to come see the studio.
Yeah, I do. I really do. But I learned the importance of hot glue guns for costuming.
Oh yes, absolutely. It is the essential ingredient.
And for anybody who's going to do costuming, let me just address the audience here. If anyone, costuming, Home Depot is a great place for costuming
Yeah.
because you find frames and then you drape cloth. Okay, that's the whole key.
A few years ago, Crystal did. Before the Wonder Woman movie even came out, Crystal did a cheetah cosplay
I saw that cheetah cosplay.
where she was
Yeah,
body painted.
I gotta
It was
say,
amazing.
it was amazing, but it wasn't for me.
It was amazing. They made the mistake of doing the airbrushing in our room and the help. All of a sudden, I walk in and there's a cloud in the room, and the smoke alarm went off.
Yeah, I know about airbrushing. Yeah.
And so literally they brought up fans, and it was just crazy.
Yeah, no, so the people who understand my background of what I've been, okay, so who have I met? I met everybody on the original series except for DeForest. Okay, the last convention that Leonard was at in New England, he was hanging out and having lunch in my room.
Oh wow!
Yeah, his agent. We were told basically to leave. So that was hysterical. That's sort of my big claim to fame. But I've also,
was his agent Gary? Was Gary his
I
agent?
don't remember. It was back in. Let me think here. It was before my daughter was born, so it was shortly before he announced he had the emphysema.
Oh, okay.
Okay, he was in Boston. They made it, Leonard Nimoy Day.
Right.
I've had lunch with George.
Let me tell you my Leonard Nimoy story. I've met Leonard Nimoy when I lived in LA. I met him twice. The first time was when his second book, I Am Spot,
Yes, I
came
know that
out.
one. Yes.
And so I was in Century City.
Yep.
And because they had a good Jewish deli there, and I used to get black and white cookies there.
Oh, you better have gotten a good bagels there too.
Oh,
Food suddenly comes up in every Star Trek convention.
That's true. But anyway, so I walk out of the food court there, and the Barnes and Noble is right there.
Oh, yeah.
And there were two people sitting down, waiting in line for something. And I'm like, what are you waiting in line for? Oh, Leonard Nimoy's going to be signing his new book. And I'm like, and this is the line? She goes, yeah. It was like an hour and a half.
Oh, yeah.
I go, I'm in. And I sat down, bought a copy of his book, got him signed, shook his hand. And he was such a gentleman.
Anybody who's ever been to a convention, okay, and I mean anything from Dragon Con and San Diego Comic Con to the mom and pop conventions, we all recognize an autograph line a mile away. Okay, and this benefited me a number of years ago when I was in Washington D.C. and I went because of where I was working, I went to the Air and Space Museum. Okay, great place. If you've never been, I highly recommend you make a pilgrimage.
Oh, it's amazing.
The Enterprise is actually as you walk in now. It's got such a great. Yeah, it's wonderful, isn't it?
I haven't been in years.
Oh yeah, we just last year when we came down, we took a stop down. I had to make it, but so I'm at the Air and Space Museum, and I see this line. Like I said, I know an autograph line, and I see one. I said, I didn't care who it was. It was the Air and Space Museum. I'm going to get the book. I said, yeah, it's over there. And who was it? It was Sally Ride.
Oh, wow.
So I freaked her out, though. I told her that all slightly chubby fanboys were living vicariously through her because none of us were ever going to get up into space at this point. Yeah, it freaked her right out. But yeah, no, it's amazing. Some of the things that you pick up over the years, going to conventions and talking to other fans.
My second interaction with Leonard Nimoy was I was at, if those of you who are here in LA know the Jerry's Deli on Ventura Boulevard. So I'm at Jerry's Deli. I pulled in there, and I remember I was on the phone with my friend James Bell, my Warhammer friend, and he and I were talking. And I got one like the second spot in Jerry's Deli, and it faces this office building, which I later learned was William Shatner's agent's building.
Right.
So I'm there, and I'm talking to my friend, just sitting in my car, and I watch this guy leave the building, and it's it's 100 yards away, and as he starts walking towards me, towards the parking, there was parking on the other side too. I'm like, I say, James, I gotta go. It's Leonard Nimoy. And I go and I totally fanboy on his ass.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, Mr. Nimoy, I'm sorry to bother you. I just want to say thank you. I'm a huge fan. And he was so gracious.
Oh, he always was.
And so nice. And I told him the story. I said, listen, I've been a fan since season 3. I said, when they moved you to 10 o'clock on Friday night, I said I was 8 years old and it was past my bedtime. And my mom would put me to bed at 8 p.m., wake me up at 10 and let me watch Star Trek. And he was like, oh, that's very sweet. And I'm thinking, he doesn't give a shit, but he's being so gracious to me. And I shook his hand and I left.
My first experience with Trek was I was in Canada, Goose Bay, Labrador, Canada. My father was in the Air Force. And it's listeners, and I'm seeing, let this be your last battlefield. Okay? So I got Gorshin trying to strangle the other guy, and they both, trying to kill him. And being the 7-year-old kid that I am, Daddy, what's going on?
Oh.
They're trying to kill each other. Why? Go back to bed. Because it's 10 o'clock at night. What 7-year-old should be up at that time? But yeah, it's the experiences have been dynamite. The fan group. I met my ex-wife and my wife through science fiction and fandom of all sorts.
Oh, wow.
I have met my best man and one of my closest friends were from there. I hang out with people like these crazy group of people that I'm really liking. Manticore, that's cool. I'm a character in the Manticore universe.
Well, and we've met before.
Have we? Uh-oh, this is trouble now.
In New England.
Okay.
Wow.
I've been sitting here trying to think of your name.
Jerome Connor.
Yeah.
Yeah, my reputation precedes
I
me.
think Walter Hunt introduced me.
Yes, Walter, who just announced his retirement.
So, he retired on Friday.
Yes, I know. He's too young to retire. He's a friend of ours who's also a science fiction
So
writer.
back when I
You have a question, by the way, Chris.
I did.
Yeah,
Okay,
what's
so back when I used to do, I hit it a second. Back when I used to do cons, when I lived in Newport, Rhode Island.
You got to sit here because no one can
No one can see
see
you.
you, and no one can hear you. because-
They know what I look like. They know what I look like. So back when I lived in Newport, Rhode Island, and I started going to cons all the time, a mutual friend introduced us because he goes to Balticon and Aresia and stuff like that too. So I haven't been back to Balticon in forever, but I really like that con.
It's a good convention. in Baltimore.
Aresia, I think, is a little bit different than it was when I was.
It was same here. I started going to this is the third one, and that's where I met my wife. Was Riga though, so I have a good place in the heart for Riga.
So I think I knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I know your.
How about Boston? You guys go to Boston?
I was at the last.
It's getting really esoteric here.
I got to the last real BosCon when they got thrown out of Boston. I was at that one.
Yeah, the last one I was
Wow.
Boston 38.
Okay. Yeah. So as
these
you
two.
can see, is we all have different experiences and stuff.
Oh, we need to recruit them as we build our power
I should get
base.
my
and
phone
stuff.
because I have to answer a
All we
question.
New England people.
Well, I'm from New York.
What part of New York?
Half the time on Long Island in Cold Spring Harbor, which is part of Huntington.
Yep.
And Cold Spring Harbor Lads, if you're familiar with
Yep.
Watson and Crick.
Well, I'm a Billy Joel fan, so
Built his first album,
Yep,
Cold Spring
exactly.
Harbor.
Cold Spring Harbor.
Yeah. He actually, ironically, Billy Joel bought at the time was my dream house. It was right at the end of the causeway that went out to Lloyd Harbor. There was this beautiful old gorgeous Tudor house. Billy Joel bought it
Yeah.
for when he married Christy Brinkley.
Oh,
And they
geez.
put this big wall up around it that we hated.
Yeah.
He sold that, and then his other house just went on sale recently. He bought another house. He is a total Long Island guy.
Oh yeah, yes,
Like,
yes.
Although a notoriously bad tipper. And
I've heard that.
he bought a place. He had a place in Oyster Bay that sold for like I don't know, $17 million.
So where else are you from besides?
So that was half my time, and the other half of my time was Scarsdale. Westchester County.
My wife is from outside of Albany,
Okay.
and my father grew up in Olean, New York. Now, if you're a college basketball fan, you will know the college called St. Bonaventure.
Sure, of course.
That's the town right next to Salamanca where my dad was born, but he lived in Olean, which is right now.
Oh, okay.
Upper
Interesting.
state?
South of Buffalo, along the
Okay.
Pennsylvania border.
I would never move up north. I will never move north of the Mason-Dixon line, which runs through New Jersey, by the way. I would never move. However, there is no place I would rather be than New England in October.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. First off, there's a couple of things. First off, one, if you're a tourist, do not go to Salem during Halloween. Only crazy tourists will do that.
It's like Times Square and New Year's Eve.
Yeah, it's Berkshires. But look, most of us that have grown up in there, we all look at the fall and go, it's wonderful, it's great, we love it, but you're looking at dead leaves. Okay? Stop it with the dead leaves.
No, it doesn't matter.
Brandon will take their money.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at the Berkshires now.
Oh, yeah, it's
But half of it is owned by New York.
Yeah, that's true. But if you really want to go look at the foliage, New Hampshire is actually the place. New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I lived in.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I lived in Sydney, New Hampshire also. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I've traveled all over, lived a lot of places. You know, my dad was in the military during the lovely Cold War and Vietnam era.
Oh.
Yeah. So I lived in Iowa for a while.
We just lost
How did
one.
you end up in Iowa?
My father went to Vietnam, and my mother is from Iowa. Northern Iowa, right on the border.
Almost
It's called-
escaped, but not
and
quite.
let's put it this way: it's one of those. Hesper's is one of those small towns that you have to put the mirror up on the end to make sure that it's it's enlarged in size. My grandmother lived there, and so my mother decided that she was
so
going to live
it
there.
was a good place to go hang out.
Yeah, for about a year and a half, we lived there while Dad was in Vietnam. And so we were there, and my brother and I were both born at Andrews Air Force Base. And my dad worked on Air Force One at the time. And my
wow.
wife,
I'm from Des Moines. So
okay, yep. My cousins are all in Des Moines right now. Yes, it is. Wasn't a big city until a few decades back. Okay.
Oh, he answered it. He
it was
answered it.
basically when the next Starfleet Tactical was going to be, and the answer is not tonight, not next Saturday night, but the Saturday night after. So
Chris has done more live streaming than he wants
Okay,
to
so
do
I
in
do have
any
a question.
month.
What is the Starfleet Tactical?
So
For those of you that don't know.
So you missed the story about how this came about. Alec invited me on his show, and 3 weeks later, he had handed me the time slot without ever asking me if I wanted it. But
He clearly enjoyed it a
he
lot.
didn't. But we're getting ready to do episode 145, so apparently,
Obviously, he
Yes.
enjoys it.
Well,
So,
okay,
so it's basically, I'm a naval analyst. My sometimes co-host is a retired naval reservist who's an airline pilot and a game designer. And so we talk about I say that my fandom superpower is I can talk about real world navies and science fiction navies at the same time.
I'm an amateur historian, and my love is the Age of Sail, especially I'm a Nelson fan. And so, that's why I was asking, because they're so similar in the tactics of what you're looking at, except you add a third dimension.
Sometimes they can be.
Yeah, they can be.
Sometimes they're not. It really sort of depends on the technological assumption.
Exactly.
But I spend a lot of time, like, for instance, I've had John Henry, aka Jack Campbell. We haven't.
Yes, I know John. I know John very well.
Yeah, we haven't actually had the conversation at a con, but he's a Naval Academy grad. He was a surface warfare.
He was intel also.
Who did some intel work on the side, but he was primarily a swell. And I've made the observation to him that the Navy uses a doctrine called the Composite Warfare Commander Doctrine, which is basically how they sort of split up the problem, how they work on the problem. And it was predicated upon the idea that the different warfare areas operate at different speeds. And also that there was likely to be heavy Soviet jamming. And I've made the observation to John, we should have a conversation about this at a con, because I can make a pretty good argument that light speed lag leads to some of essentially the same problems that you run into with jamming, right?
Yeah.
It decreases your meaningful throughput. It puts you in a situation where you really have to push decision-making responsibilities to a lower tactical echelon a lower command echelon in order to do that. And so I could basically tell the entire story of the Composite Warfare Commander Doctrine using John Henry's or Jack Campbell's Lost Fleet series as sort of the example of that.
And that's why
never had that conversation yet. I mean, I said this to John, and John went, well, yeah.
Well, that's why if you read his Lost Fleet series, that's why when the orders are given, they're given to, at this time point, you proceed and do this.
So what's the Lost Fleet series?
So it started off as a bet. He's basically on like book 25 of a series that started off as a bet. And the bet was that he could not retell Xenophon's March of the 10,000 as a science fiction story. And so he did. And so the premise of the Lost Fleet series is that Blackjack Geary, who was one of the heroes of the opening battle of this great war, his life pod is found. He is being brought out of suspended animation because he's been just basically afloat for like 100, 150 years.
Yeah.
The war is still going on. The fleet that has rescued him is in the process of, they're surrounded and they're
getting their asses kicked.
They're getting their asses kicked, and basically the enemy has said, look, we're going to take your surrender. All of your officers need to come to this meeting. We want all your officers to come to the meeting. So they all go to the meeting and they kill him. And so now he's the senior officer present. He's been, he got promoted posthumously, et cetera, et cetera. So he's like, and he's got a commissioning date that's like 100 years.
So he gets to be in charge because they're all like going wet.
So he's the senior officer present. They didn't take all the officers. They took all the COs, COs. So he's got all the XOs left around who immediately got a promotion. And so he's now the leader of the admiral of this fleet that's behind enemy lines, and he's got to get them out. And so if you've read Xenophon was a mercenary in a Greek unit that was fighting in Persia, and essentially the same thing happened to him, except fewer starships. And the March of the 10,000 was them trying to escape
and get home.
So same thing happened incidentally after World War I with the Czech Legion, which was a couple of Czech divisions or regiments, I can't remember, that end up and were there to fight the communists for the White Russians. And they, if I remember correctly, they eventually end up going all the way across Russia, like escaping through Russia.
Oh, Jesus.
It was something like that. It's been
I have to look that one up. I know
it's been forever since I've read that. I mean, that was something I remember reading about back in grad school. So, there's a couple of spin-off series, et cetera. And John's done a great job with it, and the only time I've ever had a criticism, I've come up and said, John, Blackjack Geary needed a staff.
I can't keep up.
It's hard to keep track. I've said, Geary needs a staff. right? He should have a staff. He would have created the staff. And his response is, yeah, you know that, and I know that, but the last thing in the world I needed was to add another 5 characters.
So you need basically a who's who.
Yeah,
It's kind of like the Harrington series.
And it's not made any better by the fact that all of the books in the main core of the series are named after ships in the fleet. So like Lost Fleet Dauntless, Last Fleet Hercules, Last Fleet Courageous, and it's like they're not even really in order, and it's tough to keep it straight.
Yeah.
But
But
fantastic
good
books.
reads. They're good reads.
Fantastic.
There you are. So here.
Wow.
So,
All right.
good stuff.
There you go. Let's see what. Just checking. Olive Drab joined us.
Is this your hat? Okay. No, I just didn't want to, So where do I sign up?
Go online.
I know mystuffI.org. Yeah. Region 2.
Aries.
All right.
USS
There was an Ares up in Region 15 for
Right.
rock.
Yep.
So that's why we say Region 2, USS
Yeah.
Ares, 1650. That's
Okay.
Now, I think that if I remember correctly, the other USS Ares, did they change this? What was it?
the spelling.
The spelling of
The
them,
spelling,
right?
They're spelled like Aries.
Aries,
Greek god.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Well,
No, I know those
this
guys
is
very
Ares
well.
the Greek god. The other one is Ares the goat.
Okay. Well, I know those guys very well.
Yeah, they were very nice.
They
Yeah,
always
super
are.
nice.
They always are.
Super nice.
They're
Yeah,
fun. They're fun to party with too.
I bet. The one thing I noticed from this conference is that it's very old.
Yes.
Like I'm like, wow,
Because
really has changed.
That's what you'll find is that there's in the literary world conventions like Worldcon, there's an actual discussion about the graying of fandom. And Star Trek has that problem. And you start, if you look carefully, you can see Star Wars is starting to get the same problem.
Really?
Yes.
I would think Star
Yeah.
Wars would be immune from that problem.
No, they're not. They're starting your fan organizations. I'm not talking like my daughter who's 11 who just discovered it. But if you look at the organizations, their memberships are starting to age also. They're not aging as we are.
So the question is that the fan organization's age is increasing.
Right.
But what about the overall participation in fandom? Is it quite possible that fandoms are increasing, but the membership in fan organizations is decreasing because of social media?
That's exactly what's happening. And
We solved the problem.
no, there's a
No, we
identified
We just started the problem. We haven't solved it.
there's a
That's tomorrow on this.
there's a former newsletter called File 770. And they have a article right from the top. Mike Gyro, I think it is. Gyler, I think it is. But he's one of his pinned articles on the front page is your fan group dead?
Oh wow, that's
Because basically it's the internet that caused problems with fan groups.
right.
I mean, it used to be you get the fan groups in the local area, you put a couple of little flyers,
like flyers.
Yeah, I think one of the advantages of our group is that it's based around our involvement in Axanar and our studio.
Right.
So we have the studio, like we get together, we work on the sets, we have the shoots. So there's actual fun things that are happening.
Fun things?
Yeah,
Is that allowed?
they have. Yeah. Fortunately, the bylaw outlawing fun in Starfleet has been tabled in committee.
What we used to do is we used to help like Make-A-Wish and stuff like that and get together with them. And in that way, we had a lot of participation. We were helping the community.
Pull the chair.
Actually, you can take mine because I got.
I'm getting ready to leave in a little bit. I gotta go change. Take a shower.
Oh, don't change. You love you the way you are.
All right, well, hang out for a little bit.
All right, I gotta head back.
All right.
Thank you.
Paul's leaving.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
He's on.
Okay, so you're about to be on. Have a seat there, and we'll. Well, actually, switch it. Yeah, switch it so I can interview Ryan.
I'll be right back.
All right, Jerome. So this is Ryan. Ryan, what's your last name? I don't even know. I know Ryan. You're Ryan and Kathy.
Ryan
I don't even know. I can't even say your name without and Kathy. It's Ryan and Kathy. And Kathy. Who's from Tennessee and does the
Star Podcast.
podcast.
Star Pod. So it's
Star
like,
Podcast.
it's like Starlog.
Right.
Because it's all about Starlog.
Yeah.
We go through Starlog magazine.
Really?
You were on it, and you don't even know it's about.
We weren't talking about Starlog magazine when I was on it.
But I mean, wasn't that our internet back in the 70s?
Oh, it was.
and 80s?
It was totally. It totally
Oh,
was.
it was amazing. Right now, we're covering 1984.
Oh.
Search for Spock.
Wow.
Good
It's a
year.
big year. Search for Spock. Isn't 84 Aliens as well? Is
No,
it
a little
Aliens?
later.
Is it Aliens?
Yes.
Was it 84?
It was not.
Oh, what was 84? Was that Back to the Future? What were the ones? 84 is
that
the
was
big
a little
year.
later. 82 was the big year. That was
82.
Rathacon. Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff was 82. Yeah.
82. That's the year I graduated from college. So, okay, so Ryan's down. Are you a member of our chapter?
I'm not. No. I'm the Werner von Braun out of Huntsville, Alabama.
Oh. Why?
Because I got a lot of friends in Huntsville,
All right,
so they
all
invited us. So
All
I
right.
said, "Yeah, I got to go."
All right.
But it's hard being pulled in all directions.
I know. You're a man. You are a man
We
in
are
demand.
super Trekkies.
You are in demand. Yeah. As a matter of fact, his wife Kathy is at Star Trek Las Vegas.
That's right.
That's insane.
How do you organize 2 Star Trek events at the same time?
I
That's
know,
crazy.
right? We were talking
That's
about
all
that
right.
earlier.
We work with it.
They're like,
really? Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's all
it
good.
is a conference.
I'm gonna tell you what. I had a blast at Ares Studios.
Yesterday, yeah, it was a good time, huh?
Amazing.
Yeah.
We've done the one in Ticonderoga. We've done the one in
Yeah.
Kingsland. And this one, boy, what you do is I'm just on a
All right,
different
so
level.
tell everyone, without giving away any actor names, because we're trying to keep that all under wraps.
I've already said, with one exception, I've already said that my favorite part was the part where Schwarzenegger said, "I'll be back."
Oh, and that was, and then
That was just amazing.
yes, and then when Jack Nicholson said, "No, you won't," that was another crazy part. That Jack Nicholson cameo was unreal. I don't know how you worked that out, Al.
Dude, that came out of retirement. Was
I'm gonna tell you this because we can't talk about actors, but I love how, and I
We're
don't
going to talk
want.
about characters.
Okay, but I don't want even that because there was a surprise to me. The layers of lore, how you were able to respect canon and seamlessly weave in everything from Enterprise, TOS, TNG, the look, the feel of the aliens. This is what Discovery should have been.
Well, and the problem with, without being harsh on Discovery.
I don't want you. I don't want you.
No.
This is when you watch this. A real Star Trek fan, a long Star Trek fan, will look at that and say,
Yeah,
"It's not that hard. Why can't we have this?"
It's the difference between subtlety and being on the nose. And Discovery is so on the nose. It's like, oh, this is Spock's sister. I
call that on the rectum.
sister?
It's absurd. It's terrible.
Right.
It's a mess.
Whereas we have
Mess.
Saval because Saval makes sense in the timeline. Right? You know,
Other characters that you're introducing in this,
Yeah.
the look, the feel, that makes sense.
oh, you didn't even, you didn't, and also do you remember the one character who has one line? He's on camera once, and he talks about the Enterprise's engines.
Fantastic.
You know who that is?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not gonna tell it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm one who doesn't watch trailers for movies because I want to be surprised.
Oh yeah, that's fair enough.
A lot of people love trailers. I'm like,
The thing about trailers is you never know. You can't make a decision about a movie based on a trailer.
And even when you watch current Star Trek, like Strange New Worlds, let's say next time on Strange New Worlds, I'll go like this.
Yeah.
Right? And then Kathy will tap my toes when it's done. Because she likes to see what's coming next, but I don't. I don't want to ruin it for other people like me, but when the next episodes of Axanar come out, it's beautiful.
People are going to love it. People
Yes.
are going to love it. Yeah. We're excited. We're excited, and we're excited. Fans have been waiting 10 years, so it's like it's going to pay.
I borderline want to start. a petition saying, let's kick Kurtzman out and bring Alec in.
I appreciate that. But I'm not. We've done a very good job with the fan
You're
film. That's all-
modest.
yeah,
You're
that's-
modest.
That's
But I'm seeing things from behind the scenes. I'm seeing everything that goes on with it.
Well, also,
This is not a normal fan. This is a production.
yeah, it is. And people complain about how long it takes, and I said, if you think about all the shit that we've been up against,
Yeah.
from
Oh, and
CBS,
the mental assault,
just
right?
the crap that I have to, suing directors who are trying to,
Yeah. All that nonsense.
nonsense.
It just takes time away from artistry.
That's right. But we're getting there, and you saw yesterday, and it's going to be amazing. So we're pretty excited. I think all our fans out there are going to be excited.
And like I said, I've been on other set tours, and when you walk on the bridge of the Ares, you're like, wow, this is Star Trek. This is the real deal. And I'm saying the size of it makes sense for the era of the ship. Right, a bridge shouldn't be 500 feet wide. I mean, it's everything about you. Like, I feel like I'm at the proper sense of scale for the timeline as well. And the attention to detail.
Yeah, and I was explaining because Mark Edward Lewis thought the set was smaller than a TOS bridge, and I said no, it's actually the exact size of it. It is a TOS bridge, just finished. Although, yes.
Surprises me.
Everything on that bridge, except for the command well, which is totally different, but everything from the railings out is exactly what's on a TOS bridge. We built it to the official plans of the TOS bridge. The difference is where all of our panels are not jelly beans and tactile
It
buttons.
seems like
They're
there's
fixed.
less space to get behind chairs when you're walking.
Because
around.
there's that
Because of our
extra panel
chairs.
in the middle, right?
No. What you're talking about is the chairs on the outside. Yeah, because the chairs, all of our chairs have armrests, so they don't slide underneath the way they do. So they're a little farther away. So it's a little harder to get around. Yeah. So the chairs are different. That makes a big difference. Our command well is totally different, but that's it. But yeah,
But there's that extra. Okay, so you have your navigational areas, then you have an area in between the command chair.
right. So we have
Whereas the TOS didn't have that.
right. TOS just had helmet navigation.
That's
we
not
have
helmet navigation.
we have tactical and fleet ops up against the rail, right up against
Yes,
the rail.
yes.
Then you have a pilot console in the middle.
So that makes it more cramped.
It is definitely more cramped.
Yeah, therefore,
Yeah.
I could see why it might feel a little bit smaller. It's not
Sure.
really smaller.
It's
just
more. It's definitely
more
more
furniture.
cramped. Yeah, there's more stuff in there, so you get a little more claustrophobic. It's a little more, which submarine-like, shall we say? So,
But it fits the era between Enterprise and TOS.
Yeah,
I mean, it makes sense. Yeah.
no, we're before TOS. Remember,
But I'm saying between Enterprise and
between
TOS,
Enterprise
you're
and
that
TOS,
middle.
yes.
You're that
Yeah,
middle.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, we take a lot of cues from that. But being fans, that's primary concern is making sure it fit. I mean, it's ridiculous how much time we spent figuring all that stuff out. So when people say, well, what about here's a matter of fact, the only real complaint you can have is, well, they had jelly bean buttons and toggle switches on the Enterprise, and you are all flat panel, which is true. That's like a concession to the fact that we're making Star Trek. We're making an era of Star Trek that's 20 years before TOS, but we're making it 50 years after they made TOS.
Yeah.
Everything checked. You could literally say, like they did in Picard, hey, it's all going to be holographic screens, right? They basically went Minority Report in Picard. But we're like, no, we're not going to, which is, of course, what they did with Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Right there, Star Trek Strange New Worlds still has jelly beans if you look at their consoles and stuff. So that's the one concession. But
that doesn't, just because that technology is a little bit different, or you might say forward thinking than TOS, doesn't mean it's just like in the real world. If you look in the real world, if you look at military aircraft, there's some that has different ways of controlling operations, but you're still within
Yeah.
the same time frame.
Listen,
Different is not
we had
bad.
cell phones and landlines at the same time.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
so-
Yes.
so-
Yeah. That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah. I think what's important is that which we had the luxury of. We had literally years to develop the areas. I mean, from the initial concept in 2010 to when when we started building the sets in 2014 or 2015, we started building the set. We had spent a lot of time developing it and a lot of time thinking about it and a lot of time saying, well, how are we meshing everything
are
together?
epic. We have the blueprints in our collection.
That Alexander Richardson did. Yeah, they're amazing.
And because my wife and I and a group of friends actually play the FOSSA role-playing game.
Yeah.
And we're noticing all the Easter eggs that FOSSA influenced.
Absolutely. When I was
growing up, I viewed that as canon.
Yeah, listen, a lot of us did, right? A lot of us did. That's why it's called the 4 Years' War.
Yes.
That's why it's
Return to Axanar. All that stuff is in there. Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. No question about it. It's
The Franz Joseph
bowling
manual.
alley though?
There's no bowling
That
alley.
was Franz Joseph.
This is a ship of war,
That's what I was
but
gonna
there
say,
is a
that
Starbucks.
Franz Joseph technical manual.
It's
I
gold.
looked at that. I was like, look at all this. And I love
Well,
how you
and
have different patches.
Yeah.
Not going to give away spoilers, but you're going to see Hercules. You're going to see a lot of stuff forward. And I'm like, I was sitting there, my mind was exploding, saying, "Oh, I so badly want to take pictures of this," but I respect you.
You'll get
don't
it.
want that.
We'll
But there's a lot of stuff
like
that
that.
fans are going to
That is-
notice.
That was a conscious decision. We said, okay, there are two schools of thoughts. One school of thought is that there's a different patch for each ship.
When we were growing
Here
up, it
is
was
why
that.
we think that.
Yes.
Here's another school of thought is, no, it's all supposed to be the chevron, and they only had different patches because XYZ. All right, you can make an argument for both of them, right? I've seen the Okudas argue for the chevron as the official.
I think he was forced into that thinking.
But we also know why that happened.
Yes.
It happened because Blackman was trying to save money.
Correct.
And he said, I'm sorry, Justman was trying to save money, and Blackman was like, I want it to look good.
Yes.
So let's change the look and everything. So
we've seen all the inter-office memos. I mean,
and this is not the most important thing in canon.
Yeah.
That's been screwed up.
Yeah.
So it's.
But I love it though. Oh, I love seeing all the different patches on the
So
ships.
right, it gave us leave to do what we've done to give a different look to Star. And again, this is not. You can argue this is not prime Star Trek. This is Axanar universe. That's
I'm fine with that.
I love
read
the
the comics,
multiverse.
we read the novels,
Right?
and
We're all about the multiverse.
We know that the DC timeline is different than the IDW timeline. Is different than the novels timeline. The Axaverse is amazing. Yeah,
well, listen,
I can deal with
listen,
it.
they should have kept the books going the Star Trek books.
Yes.
That whole Coda thing was just a nightmare. You just ruined it for so many people. Just leave the books as a separate universe. Right?
Yeah.
The Star Trek the Star Trek had the multiverse before anyone else. Leave it. Let it flourish. Let there be.
And those authors, they know their stuff too.
Yes, and right, they do.
Don't
awesome.
Yes.
And it's just like just like JJ and Robert Orsi did with Star Trek 2009. They said it's a separate universe. Let it be a separate. And this is what Kurtzman should have done.
Should have done
He
that.
should have said separate universe.
The point that I really lost my mind, me and Kathy both said, when they put that image, I think it was in third season of Leonard Nimoy, and they're like, Spock couldn't do anything without you, Michael Burnham. We're like, okay, now you have defecated on the legacy of Spock with this nonsense now.
Yeah.
This is
they didn't need
whereas
to do all that
you are
stuff.
taking Star Trek lore and elevating it.
We
And
tried.
the more the fans see these segments coming up, you're going to say, Paramount is foolish. Or now it's what? Skydance?
Well, it's still Paramount, but
for
Skydance is
not getting you and your team. I want to give credit to your team for this.
We have an amazing team.
Man,
We have an amazing
this
team.
is visually, as far as the lore of the show, the feel of the actors, the quality of them, like you know they were trained on like this is how your species should act, how they should react, how they should feel.
Yeah,
Because there's a lot more than just
and also,
Klingons and humans in this.
Yeah, and also we also understand that the species aren't monolithic. That's why our Andorians are totally different.
Yes.
That's why our Vulcans are very different.
Yes.
You know, you appreciate the differences.
I loved it.
Right?
I loved it.
Yeah, and the differences in the human characters as well. Everyone's different, so we appreciate your support.
And it's because you were sitting back watching our reaction, right? Because I didn't see you, but there were parts where people were just gasping and cheering and clapping. How does it feel, you as a creator, amongst fans, knowing that we think it's special?
Yeah, I mean, you certainly have. As the writer, you certainly have the moments that are really important to you. And you want fans to react to the moments that are important that, like, I'm like, okay, that line is really important. Like, is it...
Did we get the reaction that you were expecting?
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
Or did we miss some?
No, I think so. I think, the time when... Travis says, except maybe Sonya, no one knew what she was going to do. And then cut to Sonya, she goes, well, and they're like, you guys all laugh.
There were some Star Trek 4 moments in there.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah,
this is great.
That's exactly what I want you to feel about that character, right? So yeah, that's good. But it's like, it's like going back to when people talk about Prelude, and the important lines in Prelude, the things that people talk about, right? And most, a lot of it is Saval. Like Saval, when Saval says, a Vulcan, an Andorian acquaintance of mine once said,
"Oh yeah."
And like
all the
fans,
techies
all the techies are like, I know who he's talking about,
yes.
right? Which is great. It's like you don't have to hit him on the nose.
Yes.
With Spock's daughter. You don't have to do that. We're Star Trek fans. We know this shit better than you do. Meaning,
Yes.
Mr. Producer, us fans know it better than you. Just don't hit us over the head with it, right? And so that's when someone gets that. When you put in something subtly and someone gets it, then you're like, okay, it speaks to the intelligence of Star Trek fans, right? It's like we know this
We're
shit.
dedicated.
We're arguing about canon, right? And so I'll never forget when we did the Dragon Con in 2014. We had like 300 people in the room, and we had a line of people for questions, and I had Kate Vernon and Richard Hatch on the panel with me. And like the first 3 questions were from me about canon. They were like, what about this? And why there's no navigational deflection? And I finally said, hey, look, guys, I will stand in the hallway and talk about this until midnight with you. But can we make the questions for these? We have got 2 amazing actors here. Ask these guys a question. And like the next question was like, well, why does the Ares blah? I'm like, oh, geez, But I get it because we want to talk about that, and fans are excited that we relate with that for the things that you're talking about, the things that you recognize about what we do. Most fans recognize in what we do.
There's verbal Easter eggs in what you do.
Yeah, and they're there for a reason, and we try and do the same. Like some of the things you didn't get because like we didn't have the lower thirds in, right? The lower thirds is the one that says Kelvar Garth, fleet captain USS Ares 4 years war. We didn't have those in when you saw yourself. If we did, like being a FASA fan, you would have seen Moreau, Supreme Commander retired, Thought Admiral. Like, all right, like anyone
that goes back to John M. Ford.
Exactly, right? Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah,
of
and
course.
a lot of people go, I don't know what that
Oh,
means.
the average
right?
person doesn't
Right,
know that.
But you guys know that, and
We're
you guys
super
are like,
nerds, of
oh,
course.
he's a Ford fan. He
Yes,
loves the
of
final
course.
reflection, right?
Yes.
You know, and that's kind of what we want.
1984.
Yeah. Oh my God!
We're talking about that
how
on a
many
future
times have
episode
we-
of Star Pod Trek because that was the pivotal book of 1984.
Absolutely, it was awesome. So we we want those things, and we want you to go like people people like I watched Prelude 10 times. It wasn't until the 11th time that I realized that John Gill was the narrator.
That was a very nice touch, by the way. Very nice touch.
And I tried to explain. It's kind of funny because we have in our area in Nashville, Tennessee, we have quite a few Star Trek fans where we get together and do viewing parties and things like that. We just had a big viewing party of Prodigy recently.
Oh, okay.
All right, and we had a 8-hour marathon, but we interspersed it with other Trek things, and a couple in our group never saw Prelude to Axanar. I was like, okay, now's the time. We're going to watch it. And everyone was like, why isn't this guy on official Trek? I'm like, this is why we keep arguing about this. Are you not understanding what we're saying? But here's the unique thing about when it comes to what you're doing with Star Trek as opposed to official Trek. If you know how after you watch the Star Trek shows, they got this Will Wheaton show?
Yeah.
Where you interview, what's it called?
10 Forward? Is that what is this?
I can't remember the name.
What the Ready Room.
Ready Room.
The Ready
right?
Room.
And he had once, and I believe he was on the Ready Room with Akiva Goldsmith. It was the episode with the Gorn. He was talking about that. It was the Alien ripoff, the 1979 Alien ripoff.
Yeah.
And he's going like, isn't this amazing? We're introducing horror into Star Trek, and we're just groaning, saying you're just ripping off another sci-fi.
Yeah.
And he goes, and what we've decided to do is just throw canon away for the sake of good storytelling. And my wife and I were going, he's finally admitting it. They wouldn't admit it before, but he said the words, we're throwing away canon.
Yes.
What you and your team are doing is taking the time, because it takes a lot of time to go through all this material from the past 50 years and saying, how can we make it mesh sensibly for this timeline? So if you respect Trek,
I don't have
that.
And Goldsman's also been the one that said, basically, this is an alternate universe because the Romulans have been messing with the timeline and changed it. That's why Khan is a kid in 2024.
But they said it in such a convoluted way. I just want you to come out and say, this is not the prime timeline. Call it the beta time. Call it something. Do what Marvel does. Do what all these other ones do.
Which I have no problem with. I would have no problem. I would have no problem with Gorns who are aliens.
That's fine.
And do whatever you want in your own universe. You get to do that.
Else.
And you know what? The fans respect you for
Call
that.
it the disco timeline. I'd be fine with that.
Call it the Kurtzman timeline. I don't care.
Was it Kurtzman that said we're throwing away canon?
No.
Akiva Goldsmith. The showrunner of Strange New Worlds. Who's the Academy Award winner who did A Beautiful Mind? Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So he did a lot of garbage stuff too.
He did a lot of garbage.
He did a lot of garbage.
But he won Academy Awards. So you can't. But yeah, so I mean, listen.
There are some people who, if they said that, my response would be, okay, you have, yeah, sure.
We're not talking an underling writer. We're talking about a showrunner that admits publicly.
But that, I don't have a problem him doing that. And I don't have a problem with any of the things I hate about the Kurtzman universe. If you just tell me that it's an alternate universe,
Of course.
I don't have any problem with anything that's happening in the Kelvin universe. I can tell you why the Vengeance is a stupid idea, or I can tell you why, whatever. But you know what? JJ decided this is going to be something totally. He's saying this is Trek adjacent. This is not the Star Trek new. This is the Star Trek we're doing. And I'm like,
they did that with Kelvin. I was fine with it.
Listen, that is what Ronald D. Moore did with Battlestar Galactica. He said, "This is not your Battlestar Galactica. It's my Battlestar Galactica."
It's one of my favorite sci-fi shows.
It's great. It's great. So yeah, I am totally cool with all of that. That you do whatever you want, but there is a place, and this is the thing. There is a place for what we're doing. There's a place, and to your point, the thing was that there were people at CBS and Paramount. Go for it. Go for it. There are people at CBS and Paramount who didn't want anyone doing really good Star Trek
Yeah,
besides
they're
them.
idiots. There's a word for people like that.
I'm not going to say that. You can say that. I can't say that. But and what it is there needs to be more than one Star Trek, and there needs to be a place in the Star Trek lexicon. You know, when you said yesterday we went out at our meal after our viewing, and Ryan says, what would you do? What's the first thing you would do if you took over Star Trek? And I said,
The right thing, you gave the right answer.
well, I said the first thing I would do is I would
Because
green
have a
light.
knife.
I would
If
green
you have
light
the wrong answer,
legacy.
you're going to get stabbed, Alex. But guess what? You saved your life by saying the right
I
answer.
said first thing is I green light legacy. That's the first
Of
thing I
course.
do.
But you know what? Because that's what fans want.
Because that's what fans
Legacy.
want. Give them what they want. Right? But the second thing is plan out. Okay, what's the big picture? Of
course.
What are we trying to accomplish? Are we trying to make a Star Trek just for fans who are 65 years old and older? Are we trying to just make a Star Trek for kids who are 18 and younger? Or whatever it is, lay it out, and then develop Star Trek. Sensible Star Trek within that. My take is that, like we talked about.
I don't eat cheese.
We talked about the big thing we were talking about because Ryan mentioned it was doing a 5th season of Enterprise that's all about the Romulan War and doing it in animation, just like Babylon 5 did, right?
You get the original voice actors. These guys love sitting in their closet for a day and a half in their jammies getting paid. They all love it. I asked many of them, and they're like, I'm game for that, sure. I mean, that's the new thing with actors now is doing voice actors at home.
Yeah. So anyway, so there's a lot of good that can be had in Star Trek from a multiversal standpoint. That's the way we got to think about it. All right, we are at we're almost 2 hours on this live stream. My computer's about to die. Oh yeah, there you go. You can just
At least solve that problem.
all right, that problem solved. Now we can go another 2 hours. No, we're gonna end this stream because it's 5 o'clock. But listen, first of all, I want to thank Ryan for stopping by. He came down while his wife went to Las Vegas. Ryan's been a longtime friend of Star Trek. As I said, I knew him and his wife before they were married.
Right.
So it was really cool when you guys got married. It's like, hey, 2 Trekkies I know get married. It's awesome. Dale Simpson down there, our first officer of the USS Ares chapter. Frank Parker, our director of operations. He's like the former. Are you still a rear admiral? Okay. So yeah, we got a rear admiral as our 3rd officer. That's how cool we are. Then there's his wife Donna. Donna, say hi, Donna. There you go. And then Chris Weave of Starfleet Tactical, who you know, and special guest star Tom Pogue here. There you go. Chris and Tom are part of Boo 9, which is the what is it again?
I describe it as David Weber's analytical visualization team.
There you go. The guys that kind of keep the science straight for David Weber and the Honorverse. If
I ever join the Honorverse, I'm wearing a raspberry beret. Is that all right?
As far as I'm concerned, you can do whatever you want.
All right, guys, listen, thank you so much for spending some time with us. We greatly appreciate it. We had a good time. I'm glad you guys had a good time too. Thank you, Brian. Brian, aren't you the hull technician for
The hull technician?
I don't know. That's what Brian says. Is there some in-joke about that?
No.
So listen, guys, everyone take care. Thank you so much for being here. We've had a good time today hanging out at the Starfleet International Conference, the USS Ares chapter. If you want to be a member of the USS Ares chapter, send me a message. We'll walk you through the whole thing.
It's got to be pretty cool to be part of your ship.
Yeah, we have a good time.
Tactical in 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 Starfleet Tactical in 2 weeks, right? Everyone, thank you so much. Live long and prosper. We'll see you guys. Let me get to the outro.